So initially I read some of these headlines and I didn't think too much of it. Certain Fallout 76 users in Australia will actually have an opportunity to get a refund for the game, but upon further inspection, this actually is a pretty big deal. And especially following all of the recent negative news and just bad decisions from Bethesda with Fallout 76, this certainly is on the other side of things. Users who felt they were misled actually getting some recourse as a result. Although, for better or worse, what we're looking at today and these new refunds actually have nothing to do with Fallout First or some of the newer problems with this game, but it'll require us to roll the clock back all the way to November of 2018, right when Fallout 76 initially launched. At the time, the game had some problems, fundamental features not working, bugginess, server disconnect issues, visual problems, lagging, etc, etc. The list is pretty long from that time, and as such, there became this big narrative, this big argument that people were entitled to refunds for this game. They were sold what was described as a pretty complete product, not including all of these issues, so people thought, hey, I want my money back, as the game was arguably unplayable. But as some people started to quickly realize at the time, and became a big story in and of itself, Bethesda was denying many of these refund requests, with the argument basically being, if you bought the game, played the game, you own the game, you can't just get your money back now. Although, even though many people are making that argument from an American perspective, that's not how it works everywhere. Other countries have different laws around this, such as Australia. And that's what brings us to our current story with Zenimax and Bethesda actually being forced to refund consumers over Fallout 76. So an article was just posted by the ACC. This, otherwise known as the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, is this government body that basically ensures consumer protections. They want to make sure fair trade is occurring between consumers and companies and will go to bat for the consumers, such as what they did here, detailing how the ACC received complaints that Zenimax representatives told consumers that they were not entitled to a refund after they had experienced a variety of faults with the Fallout 76 game, including, in some cases, problems with the servers, lagging, graphic and visual problems. Zenimax has acknowledged that they are likely to have misled certain Australian consumers about their rights to a refund when they experience faults with the Fallout 76 game. And the reason this is relevant, especially in Australia, is they actually do have certain rights. When a consumer buys a product, it comes with automatic consumer guarantees, and retailers must ensure their refunds and return policies do not misrepresent what the Australian consumer law provides. And this is the important part of this whole thing. When a consumer has purchased a product that has a fault which amounts to a major failure, the Australian consumer law provides them with the right to ask for their choice of either a repair, replacement, or refund. So as a result to all of that, Zenimax will offer to provide refunds to consumers who contacted them between the 24th of November 2018 and the 1st of June 2019 to request a refund and have not already received one. Consumers who accept a refund will be no longer entitled to access to play the game. So this is pretty big, and I think a lot of people might read this and get the wrong idea about it, so I do encourage you to watch this video somewhat fully. But if at some point between November of 2018 and the beginning of June 2019 you asked for a refund, and of course this only applying to Australian citizens, Zenimax now does have to refund your full price. Doesn't matter if you kept playing the game, doesn't matter if you're level 400 in game. Also, based on how this is handled, I wouldn't be shocked if even if you didn't request a refund, if you just do so now, it might be granted if you're in Australia, just to kind of avoid further issues with this. As one of the core issues here doesn't really seem to be that they released a broken product per se. It's heavily alluded to and suggested that that is the core issue, but rather it's more about the fact that they denied users refunds, at least initially, which under Australian law you can't do if you have a broken product. So the reason this is kind of interesting is this isn't actually kind of a court order. Basically what's happening here is a settlement. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission was like, hey, we're gonna sue you, we didn't like what you did, you were bad to the Australian people, and Zenimax was like, hey, I want none of that, we'll just agree to these terms instead and avoid what otherwise could be a major disaster. So they could have gone to court and really argued that point, whether or not a consumer had purchased a product that has a fault which amounts to a major failure. Did Fallout 76 meet that criteria? Did it not meet that criteria? Well, Zenimax didn't want to have that argument. Bethesda didn't want Fallout 76 in the spotlight, especially with the risk that it could be determined that that the game had a major failure. Right now, they're trying to turn the game around, push some of the new DLC. You don't want that narrative. It would be really bad. So instead, they went this route, the settlement route. That probably would be a lot cheaper. It does avoid certain government fines. All they have to do is provide a refund for those who previously requested it, which heavily suggests that on release, the game may have had a major failure, but it doesn't actually admit that. It just kind of alludes to it slightly. And even further, it doesn't have a major and official government body declaring that, yeah, your game was broken on release and now you have to refund people. And I would be curious how many people they actually have to refund by this. You have to imagine not a ton of people requested refunds after hearing that refund requests were getting denied. I'm sure now they'll get a huge influx of refunds, especially from Australians just hoping to see if they could get it. And perhaps they do honor some of those just to avoid any further issues in this department, kind of just wash your hands with it. I could see a lot of people reading this and thinking it means that Bethesda or Zenimax lost a case, where this is proof that the game released broken and they're admitting it. Again, that's heavily alluded to, but they specifically don't say that. All they're admitting to here is that they are likely to have misled certain Australian consumers about their rights to a refund, because they are likely to have experienced faults with the Fallout 76 game. They're not even technically saying that they would have been entitled to the refund, it's just that in saying 100% no, you can't have it, that is misleading, because those consumers do have recourse under Australian law. But either way, this is pretty interesting, because you have to imagine if Zenimax was 100% confident that they would win this case, they would have just went to court. Other companies have done similar things, gone to court fighting against the ACC, but Zenimax chose not to here, and I think that does speak volumes. This battle over refunds and the right to get a refund is nothing new with Fallout 76. As I mentioned before, it was a very hot topic right around the game's release. We saw that investigation from an American firm around Bethesda Game Studios' deceptive trade practices. It doesn't seem like, looking back on it now, that it actually led to anything. I couldn't find any updates outside of just the Power Armor Edition issues. But for non-Americans, where consumer rights laws are actually quite a bit different, for European countries in general, they tend to be a bit stronger overall. I do have to wonder if this has any form of a domino effect. It seems pretty unlikely because something like this wouldn't be new. A lot of this is focusing around early game refunds, so people that just bought the game asked for a refund and were denied it even though they shouldn't have been, or potentially shouldn't have been. Either way, one of the most interesting parts about this overall is the fact that this isn't really over. If you haven't been following Fallout 76 too closely, which isn't shocking given some of the recent news, they actually did just release a new Halloween event for this game. The event itself is fine. These seasonal limited time events are always pretty cool things in games just because it brings the community together, and regardless of what you think or want to say about the game or even the online community, the in-game Fallout 76 player base has always been exceedingly kind. It's like actually kind of odd for an online game how nice people are. But literally with this event just released a couple of days ago, there are major reports of crashing issues. So testing this out and just going through the event a few times on PC, I've actually been having no issues, but there are definitely reports from users who do the event 10 times and actually crash almost half of them. And when you consider the fact that it actually is a hour-long cooldown, so once you do the event, you have to wait a full another hour before you can do it again, that kind of sucks. A lot of people are trying to grind this out to get some of the new limited time rewards, but the larger point being, it seems like some of these major issues with the game aren't gone. It's not like Fallout 76 is now in a pristine and totally fixed state. There's still a lot of problems, a lot of stuff that should have been resolved a long time ago, and it's kind of astonishing it still isn't. Like, there's just this social menu bug that's been here since like beta. So like the social menu occupies that part of your screen. Sometimes after opening it and then closing it, I just can't put my mouse on that side of the screen anymore, even if the social menu isn't open at all, just in like regular menus. That's crazy. It's been almost a year. How has that not been fixed yet? It's like preventing me from accessing 25% of the screen. That's kind of a big deal. Although just with some last minute updates, actually as I was filming this video, a bunch of people started reporting that they are now successfully getting refunds. These of course being people actually from Australia. They were users who requested refunds in the past, were denied, but now with this new ruling, they are getting them approved. Although I still haven't heard of anyone that didn't previously request a refund in between those dates getting approved one, but this certainly is interesting. Actually, one of the fascinating parts of this whole situation is the timing. Like, I don't know how up on the times the ACCC is, but this is timed pretty well considering all the other stuff that just went on. It certainly becomes significantly more noteworthy as a result of Fallout First just happening over the past week. And one other thing that seems to be evolving around these refunds are actually some pushback around them, and I think to some degree it is understood. Like, invariably, some users now who have put 100+ hours into this game will get a full refund for it. That isn't necessarily the most ideal way to use the refund system. You typically want people with lower playtime having a lot of issues that just wanted their money back pretty pretty quickly. But the core point here is the reason people are getting refunds is because Bethesda messed up. People should have had this opportunity or this option previously when the game released, and they didn't. Bethesda denied people the opportunity to get a refund on what was otherwise seemingly a fairly broken product. At least from a technical standpoint, that's why this case likely didn't go forward in the Australian courts. So though I understand that argument, and in the most ideal situation maybe that doesn't occur, the reason this is occurring is because Bethesda messed up already. They're just now actually facing some of the consequences, which is interesting because large in part this is really the only time there's actually been anything to happen with Fallout 76. Like sure, there's been a ton of bad press, negative PR, but otherwise Bethesda has reported how the game seemingly sold pretty well. Some leaks do suggest that Fallout First is selling pretty well, and even in game you could find a lot of people with Fallout First exclusive items. Bethesda did have to ship out the canvas bags, but that wasn't even really that big of a deal, and outside of that there really hasn't been any negative recourse, again outside of the PR damage. But either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. Hopefully you found this video informative. If you are from Australia, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Will you request a refund? Will you not? Are you even eligible for it? Did you request one in the past? As always, I thank you for watching, but with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.